governments and companies could, in the absence of people who have looked into this and who have analyzed this for 20 years, like I have done, or for 5 years even, in the absence of those people, they could use AI instead. And at present, I believe you couldn't just ask AI what needs to be done in order to drive the change to electric vehicles forward. You need to break it down, and you need to ask AI more specific questions, like how much electricity will be needed to drive all cars in this country on electricity. How could we change, yeah, how could we change our grids to support electric vehicle fleets? What would be the best architecture for grid solutions that could facilitate the change to electric vehicles at financially advantageous pace, etc. So and you could put the answers to these questions together and form of change plan. And I think AI, if we want to succeed with this, AI would need to help us in different ways and take the help of AI. But we also run a risk then that AI will take over, and that there will be too few human experts who understand this also in the future, and we will become entirely reliant on AI for this type of analysis in this area, because there are not enough human experts who can do this analysis. And as you know, AI can do it very rapidly, sometimes not accurately enough, but we can help also spot mistakes that AI makes, and we can help it, and we can patch here and there to actually make the responses from AI more relevant and more precise, etc. So there is a need for interaction. There is a need for supervision of AI in order to use it, and management of the AI analysis. But it could help, but it would also come at the risk of not developing enough human expertise in this, because that would be I believe, a very dangerous situation. Given that would be possible, I think can move forward at a more structured pace, and in a more structured way than the change is driven at present, and that governments need to take into account the need to develop the infrastructure around electric vehicle systems, and the different areas of investment that will be necessary. I mean, if you consider the number of chargers and the amount of electricity that will be needed along the most busy traffic routes in Europe, where 250,000 vehicles may pass every day, and how many chargers that will be needed in those places in order to, or along those routes, or how many chargers will be needed in the busiest logistics areas, like here in Europe, Rotterdam or Hamburg, Duisburg in the Rhine-Ruhr area. How many vehicles will need to be charged in those areas in a given day in the near future? That needs to be considered. And if governments manage to take this into account and develop a plan for the change that is realistic, and that allows all the different parts of systems to develop in um, in a concerted manner, we can look forward to a really, really positive and sustainable future, I think.
Super. So, just as we are talking about mobility, I think you know, the air travel industry is also like part of mobility, and it's kind of coming to also change, as we have seen maybe innovations with electric planes. So what do you think about this type of innovations, and maybe how do you see them being adapted in the future?
Well, I'm afraid we are trying to do too many things at the same time, and it will, as we have a challenge planning and preparing for the change to electric vehicles, road vehicles, and we have not started to realize how much electricity will be needed in order to charge cars, trucks, and buses. Uh, we need to take into account if we want to change aviation as well, uh, we need to take into account how much electricity will be needed to take uh, Boeing 747 or 777 to from New York to San Francisco, and how could we possibly make that amount of electricity available for hundreds of airplanes at airports over a few every hour of the day. And I mean, we could, of course, start to develop electric, or we have started to develop electric, small electric planes, and they work well for short distance routes. But the possibility of changing uh, large passenger airplanes to electric over the next coming decades does not seem to be very realistic. I think too large amounts of electricity will be needed, and extreme investments will be necessary at airports and around airports in power generation to make it possible to even electrify a small fraction of airplanes. And it's even if we could make batteries light enough to make it possible to power large airplanes, I don't think we would be able to expand power generation or power grids